And the next step in the process is to try to identify the particular target buyer type for this sales message. Because as you can see, the next steps that we go to are going to be identifying benefits and pain points and questions. And we are not just creating general benefits and pain points and questions. We're going to create those details that are specific to this target buyer type. This is where you start to create buyer persona focused sales messages. And this is where you become very effective. And so some things to think about when thinking about who are you creating this message for? Well, you can think about, are we targeting businesses or consumers, individuals? Are we targeting large businesses, small businesses? Is there a particular geography we're going after? Are there industries that we're targeting? And the industries, that's a good place to pause right here and talk about the impact of creating a message for a particular target buyer type. In a previous life, when I was a salesperson, I could sell software to manufacturers. My territory included manufacturers as well as hospitals. The software was the same regardless of the industry I was selling into, but the benefits and pain points were different. The way the software helped a manufacturer was different than the way that the software helped the hospital. Now, if I was a product selling salesperson, I would just go out and talk about what the software does or did from a functionality standpoint. But if you really want to go to that next level and talk about improvements, instead of just talking about general improvements, talking about how the software can help manufacturers specifically or help hospitals is where you can improve your ability to get the prospect's attention. Another example of that is that going back to that same example, I was selling software, and of course I could sell that software to IT, but I could also sell the software to finance. And IT and finance care about different things. So again, if I'm just talking about what the software does, I can say the same thing when I go from talking to finance to talking to IT. But if I'm talking about improvements or developing good lists of questions or pain points, those could all change when I change the target buyer type from finance to IT, and especially different levels in an organization. If you're selling to the top of an organization, they might have interests or pain points that are different from a frontline manager. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. Here's where we left off with our example. We identified the product, web design, and this is what it includes. Now let's look at the next step. So for this example, we're going to use a target buyer type of small businesses. And so here's a good example of if I'm selling web design services, if I'm selling that to a large corporation, that would be a different sales message than to small business owners. If I'm selling to small businesses, I'm usually talking to the owner of the company, and that's going to be a different message, different sets of questions than maybe a large corporation. I might sell web design services to a director of marketing. Very different audience, slightly different sales message.